Hello, I'm Mr. Pomeroy, teacher of mathematics at Hedrick Middle School, and I'd like to take a moment to introduce myself and my classroom to students and parents as we get ready to start another great year at Hedrick Middle School. This video is designed to show you a little bit about my classroom and some of the procedures we use at Hedrick, and specifically in math, to make sure our students are driven to excellence. Alright, so let's get started and look at a few things in my classroom. First, on the whiteboard next to the door is always a place for information. You'll find the date there in case you forget what day it is. And you'll also have listed for your class in pre-algebra or algebra the assignments for the day or any news or events that I need to publish and let you be aware of. So one of the first things you should do when you come into class is check that to see what we're going to be doing that day, what the learning targets are, or when upcoming assessments are, or other news that you need to be aware of. Now typically I write the assignments in one color. For example, I'm write LFP for looking for Pythagoras investigation 1 as an assignment. And I would write that in a color like purple or brown or blue or some normal color, and then I would give announcements in red. For example, I might say test on Friday, and I might put other announcements like a field trip's coming up or things like that on the board. So it's important that students look at that when they first come in the room. The other thing students should be aware of when entering my classroom is that there's always something on the active board to look at. This is a picture of the first day of school slide, but there's usually more detailed information about what they will need out that day and what they need to do to be prepared for class. And students need to check that out before they sit down in their seats for the day. As you move around in my classroom, you will notice that it's set up for student success, where they can find what they need as far as materials and organizational tools. In the front of my classroom, I have the materials like a hole punch and a stapler and tape and tissue and things like that as student needs. I also have some correction books and a crate that has different kinds of graph paper if a student needs more than I hand out. Those things are all available for students to use. They don't have to ask to use those. Those are a student station. The one thing I would ask is that they use that in an appropriate and adult manner. In the back of my room on the counter is a place where I put no-name papers. You'd be surprised at how many people turn assignments or tests or things like that in without putting their name on it. So I keep those, and a student can realize that they're not getting one back and everybody else is. They can go back and look through the no-name paper graveyard. Next to that, I have another 3-hole punch for students to use and a whole box of scratch paper. So a student can never run out of paper in my room. They can just use scratch paper for their classwork. Now this is the one area of my room that students are not allowed access to. You've heard of Facebook and MySpace? Well, this is my space, and students aren't allowed in this area because I have personal things and confidential things about other students and things like that they are not supposed to have access to. So I ask that they respect the things in my area and on my desk. But the rest of the room is set up for students to use as they need and without having to ask permission. On the wall near my door are some posters that relate to the habits of mind and habits of interaction that are part of the best practices that our math team uses at Hedrick Middle School. So we will refer to these throughout the year, and hopefully students will be familiar with the language and become the best mathematicians possible. Along with those best practices is the idea that students should work in groups in math as often as possible. We are promoting a student discourse where students learn from each other and help solve problems together. So to foster that, we have a poster in our room that reminds students of their role in working in groups. As their teacher, when students are working in groups, I will facilitate their conversations and ask probing questions that will deepen their understanding of the material. And I will certainly be available for help when they have questions. But we ask as a math team that students don't ask the teacher for help until they've used all available resources that are listed on this poster, including the other members of their group. And then, when all those resources are exhausted, we will certainly get them to the right answer. Now, along with setting up my room that is conducive for student learning, I also am very clear about procedures on how we operate class so that students can be the most successful. And I print out those expectations on a sheet of cardstock that students should have in their binder, and students are expected to go over these with their parents as well. I won't go over all these in great detail because you can access these on my website or in print, and I have extra copies if you need them. However, I would like to highlight a few things. To be successful, students of course want to know what's expected of them in terms of their grades. So you may be familiar with the new grading system that Medford uses and also the state of Oregon uses. It's called proficiency grading, and it has a different grading scale than many of us are used to. And so I've listed that here, and it starts out with a beginning level, and you want to think of this as you are approaching a target for learning. And where are you on that continuum of learning that skill or that concept? So a beginning person is just starting out that journey, whereas developing means they're going to be developing that idea a little further, but they're not there yet. Approaching, just as it sounds, means I'm approaching that goal, but I haven't yet reached that goal. Proficient means I am capable of that goal or have learned that skill, but I haven't yet learned mastery of it. Proficient means it's basically good enough. I can do that skill or I can know that thing. And mastery, of course, is above that, and I have shown or demonstrated mastery in that skill or ability. Now, just for fun, I've added a couple scores of my own that I can reward students with, and one is called Jedi Mastery. And this is not a person who masters a skill. This is a person who masters it at a perfect or 100% level on an assessment. And then on a rare occasion, there may be one where I allow an opportunity for a student to go beyond what mastery would be, or even Jedi Mastery, and demonstrate deeper knowledge than I would expect in my class. And for that, I'll reward a grade of Chuck Norris, which is a grade that nobody can argue with. A few other things to go over are some expectations about what students need to bring to class, which is listed right here. And I expect that students are responsible to bring these materials. I don't provide them for them, and if they forget, which we all forget things sometimes, that they are responsible to make a plan to solve that problem. Also, we head our papers in a certain way that their English teacher will discuss, called the MLA method. And we have ways of moving around in the classroom, and I like to treat my students as young adults, meaning that they can have some say in that and they can make adult choices. And so they don't have to ask me questions about, can I get up and get a drink, can I sharpen my pencil, can I throw something away, those kind of questions, because they're grown up enough to make those decisions. We would just ask that they do it in an adult manner so that it doesn't distract from my teaching or another student's learning. And that's all listed here in number 4 of procedures. Also on this sheet are the way we leave class or leave during class, how we end class, and then one particular important thing is about group work. I put the students in groups, and that's by my choice. We try to vary the groups every once in a while to give everybody a chance to work with everybody else in the class, and sometimes that's difficult for students who get put in a group they wouldn't choose. But I like to tell them they don't have to marry the person in their group, they just have to get along and play nice and get their work done. On the back side of the sheet are more procedures like how we begin class, how students are expected to get their own makeup work with help from me as they need it, how we correct our own work in class, how we use our time, how to show your work, and things like that. So these are available for you again online and in print, and we expect that students follow these procedures to help the class run smoothly. I hope this video has been helpful to help you get introduced to my class and how it runs and things we do to help students be successful. Now I want to take a moment and also introduce you to another resource, which is my website. Here's the web address for that, and I would recommend that every student and their families finds this site and then bookmarks this page and comes back to this page regularly. On this page will be listed every assignment that is assigned, and when the tests are, and what assignments go with which tests and things like that. All their books are online and available here to download. Any file, any handout that I give will be downloadable from my website. Also, news about our team and about math class and other resources and links to other websites. I also make videos like this one from time to time to help students do better in class, or if they miss a class they can catch up through video. All those will be posted on this website. So this is your best way to keep in regular contact with what happens in math class. So please go to this site and bookmark it right away.